All changes must go through the change control board. Repeat that with me. All. Not some, not 70%, but all changes must go through the change control board. If you can remember that one trick, you're going to win when it comes to cybersecurity. Because one of the big problems I've seen is organizations are not managing change, and inadvertent changes create vulnerabilities and exposures. Now, yes, I did say all changes must go through the change control board. And I know you're going to go, but Eric, what about all changes? And there's a couple of reasons for that. First, if you go in and make an exception, if you say certain types of changes don't need to go through the change control board, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, you got it, right? This is not your first rodeo, right? Everything's going to become an exception. If you go in and say minor changes or this or that doesn't have to go through a change control process, then all of a sudden everything becomes that exception. Here's the bigger reason. How do you define minor? It's almost impossible to do in cybersecurity because minor changes, you have no idea what the overall impact is to the organization. So I have had a client saying, if you do 10 lines of code or less, right, that sounds pretty minor. Well, I have seen 3 lines of code take down an entire enterprise. So the problem today is our systems are so complex, we don't fully understand the interaction that we really can't define minor and know what that is. And I'll give you a perfect example. About 6 months ago, I was working in a large financial institution, and it's about 10 o'clock, and all of a sudden, I notice chaos. Everyone's running around, and everyone's going crazy. And I stopped somebody and said, hey, what's going on? And they said, our online banking system just went down. Can you help us fix it? Now, when I do troubleshooting, I'm pretty simple. I ask 2 questions. The first question, when was the last confirmed time you know everything was working? And they said 7 a.m. Great. 7 a.m. everything was working. 10 a.m. it stopped working. So I ask a simple question. Did you make any changes during that time period? And their answer was, we didn't make any major changes. Great, that's not my question. Let's try this again. Did you make any changes to the system in that time period? Well, we didn't make any changes that would impact the system. Okay, I'm getting paid hourly, right? I can be here all day. So one more time. Did you make any changes? And finally they admit, they go, Eric, we were required a few months ago, and this morning we changed the logo on the homepage. But that should have nothing to do with this system. Now, I agree in theory, a logo should have nothing to do with the online banking system, but I'm a simple guy. If the system was working and the only change you made was the logo and it's not working, maybe, just maybe, there's an interaction. So I kept saying, can we put the old logo back? And they said, Eric, you're wasting our time. This has nothing to do with the issue. Now, I can be an advanced persistent threat if I need to be. Now, most of my clients call me an APA, an advanced persistent. Yeah, you could figure it out, right? The point is, I can be persistent. So finally they said, okay. So we went in and we put back the old logo. And guess what happened? The online banking system worked. New logo, it stopped working. Old logo, it worked. Now, I kid you not. We did this 5 times, and the lead developer looks at me and says, I'm still not convinced that's the problem. Hey, I'm here all day. Now, I think, to be fair, I think what he meant to say was, I don't understand why this is a problem. But here's the issue. A logo on the homepage took down the online banking system for 5 hours because this bank thought that was a minor change. If they would have followed the Dr. Cole golden rule of all changes go through the change control board, they would have tested it, realized there was a problem, and not have impacted their customers. So even if you think something is minor, always go in and have all changes go through the change control board. And if you do that, you can work with me to make cyberspace a safe place to live, work, and raise a family.